The 2024 Airfix Club kit is a duo of the Spitfire and the Typhoon in 1/72nd scale in special D-Day markings. I've already made the Spitfire, now it's time for the Typhoon, right here on Garage Stuff. Hi, I'm Gary. Welcome if you've been here before, and if you haven't, welcome to my channel. Today I'm building the Airfix Hawker Typhoon Ib in 1/72nd scale, one half of the Airfix 2024 Club kit offering. I've already made the Spitfire PR19. You can see that video on my channel already. If you like today's show, and I hope you do, please remember, give the old Imperial thumbs up on the like button below because every like counts and it supports the channel. You can also support the channel by subscribing. Make sure at the same time you hit that bell and you'll be notified of all my future content as it becomes available. And of course, if you want to make a more concrete contribution to the running of the channel, you can do that through any of my online partner programs. Information on these is in the information box below. One of these is the Airfix affiliate program. Now, if you click on the link below and go to the Airfix online store, purchase anything at all, then Airfix at no cost to you have to make a contribution to the running of this channel, and you can still collect your hobby reward points, and you can still get your Airfix Club 10% discount if you are a member. Okay, let's make a start then and have a look at how I made this Hawker Typhoon in 1/72nd scale from Airfix. Right, starting off the Typhoon here, what I've done is I've started painting the inside. So I sprayed it interior green, just picked out the tops of these ribs and the tops of these frames here with interior green mixed with white, and then essentially just a really basic black underneath. Now it looks quite rough, and that's fine because what I do with cockpits like this, if I'm doing an open cockpit, it's a different deal. If I'm doing a closed cockpit, what I do is close the two halves together and actually look and see what can I actually see here. And as you can see, what you really need is some idea of the structure, and you do that by pumping up the contrast, hence the very bright highlights and the black shadows underneath. Okay, now once the canopy's gone on and the pilot's in place, you're not going to see much. It's a hint is what you're after, a hint of the structure inside, because you're not going to see most of this, especially with the canopy on top. Now, as I say, if you're doing an open canopy plane and no pilot figure, then you're going to want to spend some time on the side to make them look nice, because you're going to be able to see them quite. In fact, if you're doing an open canopy, you're almost inviting people to have a look inside. But if you're doing a closed canopy, just pump up the contrast by using very bright and very dark versions of whatever the interior color is. Pick out things like radio sets or electronics boxes or whatever. If they're in black, just pick out the corners with some white edging as well. And that's going to be plenty detail for the inside. Okay, so this is the instrument panel and the decal for the instrument panel here. Now, you'll probably be able to see on the instrument panel itself, this is all quite nice and flat, which is where this decal here is going. But these two side parts here, these side panels here, you'll notice on the decal they're completely blank. On the actual part, there's a lot of raised detail. So what I'm going to do is cut the decal along this line here. Just use this part for here, not bother using those parts, and just dry brush up those little bits of detail there. The other thing I always do, if there's a notch like this in a part where something else is going to go, it's like the base of the gun sight goes, the carrier film for the decal quite often isn't notched. It looks like it's notched on the print, which it is, but the carrier film itself might not be. So when you put that on there, you'll get this sort of piece of film over here, which you can wait till dry and then just sort of slice it and fold it back or get rid of it if you like. But if you notch it out to begin with, then put some decal sol solution on there, and it will just sort of mold to the edges really nicely. So take these bits off, notch this, and on it will go. Right, now that the instruments have dried, we just hook this. This is like a combined compass and gun sight unit here, so it kind of just hooks over the front of the instrument panel and then clips underneath, like so. And as usual, if we make sure we completely read the instructions, because this gun sight piece actually has to stick out quite a way. You can see it does indeed clip into the base here between the two halves, but sits flat against the back of the instrument panel and then pokes out. This is like a projector gun sight, projects onto the, probably onto the inside of the windshield, I'm guessing. But anyway, that's the way it sits, so that's ready to go. The seat for the pilot fits onto these supports like so. So this inlet fits into the front of the radiator like so. Then the whole thing sits underneath the front of this cockpit base section here. And the rudder bar goes into the base here. So the gear stick into this hole here. And so we can start putting pieces in. There's this engine flap here, cooling flap for the radiator here. The other end has the tail wheel. In the middle we have the pilot seat. A couple of pegs to hold it in place. The radiator housing and the base of the cockpit fit in here. That's so. The tailplanes slot into place on the back here. And the rudder sits in its place here. And before we attach the wing, we're going to drill out these holes for the rocket rails. There's 8 holes each side, 4 rocket rails each side, and these are 0.8mm drill bits. If you're going to show the aircraft parts, you're probably going to want to drill out this hole as well, because this is where the stirrup goes. In flight it's stowed, but for when it's on the ground this will be deployed. And there's also a little signal light that needs to go in here before we close up everything. And then we can attach the underside of the aircraft to the fuselage and wiggle it about until it seems to be roughly where it belongs. Then the top surface of the wing can go on. Now what I'm going to do is make sure the gun ports line up and the ends line up first, then worry about the fit in here in a bit, because it'll go in there. But I want to get these everything else lined up, so I'll tack those in with some extra thin cement and work on everything else from there. Next job to do, because these are going to be all the same colour, we might as well put the rocket launcher rails in now while we can. And the last bit before we prime and paint is we put the windshield and canopy in, and of course we mask them before we do any painting. And something very useful if you're going to do the aircraft, especially if you're spraying the aircraft, airbrushing the aircraft, CT scale models. I purchased this set. It's especially for the 2024 club kit, so it's got the Typhoon Ib and Spitfire PR19 as separate sheets here. Well worth getting hold of if you're going to do this, and especially if you're airbrushing, because this will save you a lot of time and heartbreak. Links to that are in the information box below. So I've given the whole thing a grey primer, and I've done some panel line, just a bit of pre-shading, mainly because I'm going to be doing invasion stripes. I want to get some sort of texture underneath the invasion stripes and the rest of the scheme as well. So next thing to do is paint the white for the invasion stripe areas and then start masking. Since the aircraft masked, I've done the invasion stripes on the wings and the fuselage. The fuselage ones are sort of not really complete all the way around. The white one here has this gap for the serial number. The black band here is complete. Then the next white bands are incomplete because the serial numbers go in there on the background colours. So that's all masked off as it should be. The other thing I'm going to do now is spray the yellow for the leading edges, then mask those off. Then I'll get on to the underside medium sea grey, and then the top surface is going to be ocean grey and dark green. Main gear legs go into the large hole in the wing here, and then you can see, I hope you can see at least, there's a tiny little bracket down here that this piece needs to just hop into like so. Then the main wheels can go on. Do remember to double check the fit of these, because there's like a kind of like a half moon cut out in them, and that helps you get them the right way around and also in the right angle for the flat spots. The gear door sits along the leg like so, and just engages with the hub at the top. Yeah, like that. Yeah. And the inner gear doors go into the little slots on the cockpit floor like so. Fuselage floor, I should say. I can also start on the decals as well. Plenty of micro set first. And just quickly drop the decal into place roughly, and then mess around a little bit, just pick it up to where it should be, which is about there. Then I use a piece of tissue to get the worst of the water off. And then a cotton bud Q-tip just to start laying it down a little bit, but don't press too hard. Quite nice to roll it over the surface. That helps any water bubbles trapped underneath, or indeed air bubbles, to come to the edge, and you can see it starts picking up the lines a little bit now, but we'll use some micro set in a bit to make those sit down properly. The propeller sits on the back plate like so. There's pins there that sit between the roots of the blades to keep you in alignment, and then the spinner goes on top like so. The mounting barrel is held with a pin that goes through the back into the prop, and then the whole assembly, when it's ready, can go onto the front of the aircraft, like so. The rockets can go onto their launch rails now. Now the gun barrels, and this is why I said you should watch the video to the end, because this the gun assembly here, complete with the breeches and the rounds, this whole piece, according to the instructions, goes into the two halves of the wing. Before you join up the wing, you put this in, and then the barrels poke out the front. Now, if I put those on, A, I'm going to break them, and B, I then have to mask around them for things like the invasion stripes and the yellow leading edge stripe and stuff like that when I'm airbrushing, and I am going to break them and they're going to get in the way. So what I've done is, because I'm not having the breeches open, I don't need any of this part, so I can just pre-paint these, nip them off here, and then slot them into the front of the wing, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So as I say, the gun barrels can go and leave a good length of plastic to go into the wing. That will help you keep it straight, and also they are sort of sculpted to the wing leading edges, so they should go in and stay upright pretty much as if you'd done it the Airfix way. Okay, so let those dry, and a little touch of gunmetal at the tips for the barrels. Then the last thing to do is put in the exhausts. As usual, I've painted these with a gunmetal colour and then gone over them with a rust powder to give them that used iron look. So there it is, the Airfix Hawker Typhoon Ib in 1/72 scale, 1/2 of the 2024 club kit. I like the model a lot. The cockpit construction's a little tricky, to be honest, but not insurmountable. The rest of the kit goes together very nicely. All the undercarriage parts or things like that they're designed well. They fit nicely. It looks good. The decals are nice. I'm really happy with the weathering I've done. All in all, I really like this kit, and I'm very, very happy with it. There we have it then. D-Day Duo done. If you've enjoyed the show, I hope you have. Please remember, give it the old imperial thumbs up on the like button below there, because every like counts. And to support the channel at no cost to yourself, make sure you've subscribed and hit that bell, and you'll get notified of all my future projects as they are available. Thanks very much for watching today. Hope to see you again very soon. Take very good care now, and goodbye.